Welcome to the MoneyGigs podcast, where we dive into the lives of real working musicians to gain insight from their experiences. MoneyGigs, not just an app, a community project built by and for gigging musicians who know what they're worth. If you're ready to stop guessing and start earning, check out the website at themoneygigs.com or join the discussion on our developing Facebook page and YouTube channel. My name is Cliff, and today I'm thrilled to feature the incredible Cybele. Cybele is a performing pianist and vocalist with residencies across the city, and she's living proof that you can turn your passion into a serious career. In our discussion, I detected certain qualities about Cybele that have no doubt led to her successful career. In this episode, we're going to dive into her history and influences, how she bravely handled a negative experience with a venue, and her reaction to the app's gig calculator. Spoiler, she calls it a must-have. Let's get into the world of Cybele right now. Excited to learn this about you. You came from SCPA.
Yes.
Is it the same SCPA my kid's going to at this moment downtown?
Both of my kids are there right now.
What grades are they in?
5th and 7th.
So let's start there. So since SCPA, why don't we start there and kind of fly up through your influences and like where you are today, what your musical history's been like?
Well, when I was at SCPA, I was in drama, vocal music theater, a little bit of dance. So my goal was to be a triple threat. My goal was to kind of be on Broadway. And then as a young teenager, like maybe 14 years old, I started writing songs. I was heavily influenced by Jewel and Alanis Morissette. But really, the songs that I write are pretty eclectic. You can't really pin them down to one genre, I wouldn't say. So I always answer this question by saying I've been influenced by every song I've ever heard and every songwriter, whoever wrote them. Like my all-time favorite singers are Whitney Houston and Julie Andrews. So two very different styles, and I love to sing all of them.
You did a Mariah Carey tune and a Whitney Houston tune, and that just sounds like signing up for a lot of wow, but you really pull it off, and it's stunning.
Yeah,
you're welcome. So given that, like all that history and influence, like what is your biggest goal right now for your music career?
My biggest goal is to start recording again. I recorded an album. I wrote the whole thing, produced the whole thing, released it myself when I was 27, 28. And then I got married and had children. And then, being someone who works at night, I didn't have my children in preschool or anything. So I was home with them for years. And my goal was, okay, when my youngest starts kindergarten, I'm going to record this next album. Because prior to becoming a mother, I thought I could do it all. I thought, yeah, I'll just pump out these babies and I'll still be recording my album and, hitting all my goals. No. So that year came and went and COVID hit. And so I decided to homeschool my kids through COVID. So we homeschooled for 4 years. And so it further put off me ever recording. They started at SCPA last year. And I think I thought I would get right back into it. And I think I needed a year to decompress. So now I'm feeling like the itch to get into the studio. I'm helping my friend record a Christmas song right now. And so we're in the studio and it's so exciting and it feels like home. And I'm looking forward to, dreaming all that up again.
Well, good for you. I was just going to ask, as you're coming out of COVID, how that changed you and how it may have changed your perception of your career, perception of art, perception, I feel like that was probably a very rich experience, having your kids home at school and having that interaction constantly. And did that have any impact on you as an artist?
Well, I thought with all of that life's richness, that I would just be inspired to write all these new songs. And I'm not. I'm having a hard time writing lately. But I'm not the type of writer that sits down and says, I'm going to write a song now. It always just would hit me like lightning. And it was this magical thing. And so I never try to force it. And that just hasn't really happened for me much. I've had little glimpses of it where I'll get a little song idea, but then it doesn't go anywhere like it used to. I'm not worried about it. I'm not saying I'm worried about it because that's happened to me before where there's writer's block for a couple of years and I'm like, oh no. But I think it's just I'm still a mom right now. It's just a very busy season of life. And part of my creativity is being put towards creating this family life. So, um, but that said, I have all these songs that are already written that need to be recorded. So I'm just going to focus on those, and maybe through that process, I'll write more.
Yeah, we'll see what comes. Well, I have a lot of commonality. There's a lot of things you said that really hit personally. But one thing we haven't gotten to, you're talking about being a mom and writing albums, but you do other things too. You're gigging everywhere. I know that one of the things I'm trying to impact with the app is kind of helping musicians assess different venues and their experiences with that. So I asked for your good, bad, and ugly stories in terms of venues, and you mentioned that a certain venue that who shall remain nameless because I'm cool like that. You had the bounce checked experience. Was that one time where they bounced and checked, or that was like a repeated thing?
It was multiple times, and I was young. I must have been like maybe 23, 24, and so I had to sit them down. I mean, and these are like 40, 50-year-old guys that were running the place. And so, but I was like, well, I'm going to have to sit you down. And I told them, you're going to pay me cash upon arrival, or I don't play here anymore. Because I was playing at that place 3 or 4 nights a week at that time. That was like all my marbles were in that basket. So, and they obliged. And then they closed down, within a year or so.
I was just going to ask, how did you, when that was happening, did you see the business doing well, or were they struggling at the time?
No, I thought it was doing well. I mean, we were packed on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Yeah. So they should have been doing well. I had a similar experience. She would write the checks to Cliff Stewart instead of Cliff Adams, or she would forget to sign it, or she would forget to put the amount in.
Oh, wow.
Just delay tactics, and you put the check in the envelope, and then you get the envelope, you go home assuming everything's there.
Yeah.
And eventually I would just start calling her bank for her. Like, I would just call and say, is there money there for this? And they would either say yes or no, and then I'd wait, and I'd just keep checking back in to see if there was a balance. And as soon as there was, we just had an agreement. It was just the bank was willing to work with me. The restaurant business is not easy, as we're seeing. Even old established restaurants are struggling to stay afloat. So I assume that I could sit there and blame them, or I could kind of own the situation myself and make sure that the money I'm due is protected and is going to come my way. So it was good that you resolved that and had that conversation with them. You have a lot of courage. You're courageous creatively, but also like you said, you were in your 20s and you're sitting these older like business types down and telling them you need cash on arrival. What was that moment like? What was that whole day like? Were you freaking out?
No, I chose a certain partner in that business to sit down with because I felt most comfortable with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt somewhat empowered because I knew, well, you must see some value in me if you want me to be your main player 4 nights a week. So I do, I'm holding some cards here.
Mm-hmm.
I went into it kind of like that. I actually felt, I felt courageous, I guess.
That's awesome. It's a lot of moxie. And I hear this a lot with creatives. I think a lot of backbone in your work, a lot of backbone in the tunes. Like I said, you're doing Whitney and Mariah at lounge gigs, and you're killing it. So I'm like, it's inspiring. It's really great to watch, but it's really an inspiring thing. So talking about the app briefly, I appreciate you downloading it and checking it out. And we talked about the calculator. What had you typically done in terms of tracking how much you're making and all that? What kind of tools, and had you used any before, or had you tracked that at all? No. Okay.
No. I just, started with a certain rate in mind,
mm-hmm.
and then have increased it over time. And that's what I've done. I've never even thought about like what I'm really making per hour or anything. It's just more of a flat rate per gig type of deal. So, and when I downloaded the app, I thought, well, it's $5. I'll do, the musician community, at least locally, we tend to take care of each other. I love that about us. And so I thought, I couldn't remember who you were, but I was like, I'm going to help this guy out. I'll download the app. I'm probably not going to use it. Those were my thoughts. And then when I downloaded it and I used the calculator, I was like, wow, this is really handy. And I've used it multiple times already. So just for the calculator aspect of it.
So cool. I appreciate that you reflected on the motivator of the minimum amount, because that's also something I'm hoping to give most musicians is a chance to kind of take care of themselves and establish that backbone for themselves to say, hey, I want to make 20 an hour, and then kind of achieve that and then push themselves, but also take that calculator to the negotiating table. Somebody gives you a gig for $400 or $400 and it's a 5-hour gig, but then there's a couple rehearsals for 8. There's drive time and setup might be 4 hours. And once you break it down, you can actually tell them, hey, owner person, you're paying me a lot here, but I'm only going to be making 9. Can we do something about some of these variables to make this make sense?
Well, it's great. And those, some of those variables, I wasn't thinking about those.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's incredibly useful. Your app.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I want to get back to you and the things that are upcoming for you. Your handles are Cybele Sings, and you have a CybeleSings.com, and you also have Cybele Sings on YouTube.
Yes.
And we can look you up that way. But I want to mention your upcoming gigs or places where people can check you out. Jeff Ruby's 5 to 8 on Wednesdays. Wait, is that today? That was yesterday. How was your gig?
It was good.
Good.
Yep, it was good.
Fun crowd. Oriental Walk on Buttermilk Pike, Thursdays at 6:30. Do they call it Marble or just MRBL in Bellevue?
Call it Marble, but
Marble in Bellevue on Fridays at 5:30. And then this was interesting for me. You do one-offs and certain gigs at Lytle Park, but you said you're running the music department there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's awesome. How did that come about?
I was playing at the casino, Hard Rock Casino. This was right before the pandemic hit, and I got a phone call that someone found me there and would like to interview me for this job opportunity to just be their performer there. And I said, so I went on the interview. It was great. Like, the hotel wasn't open yet. They gave me a whole tour of the hotel and everything. Beautiful hotel. I don't know if you've been there. And so when they offered me the job, I was like, well, I can't do every night. Like, I'm not going to leave my Thursday gig. I've been at the Walk. This is 10 years now. Then it was 5 years, but I'm just a very loyal person. I was like, I'm not going to leave that gig, but here's a list of every musician in the city I know that can either play piano or play piano and sing. And I sent that list to them. And they came back at me and said, well, how about you'll just be our player? And then whenever you can't be here, you can just book whoever's here. And I thought, I was like, sure, great. Sounds good. And I wasn't even thinking, logistically, like, I should charge more for this, or, I don't know. So that's how it started. And I was doing the Fridays and Saturdays, and I was, if I had a wedding gig or something some Saturday, then I would just like swap someone else in. But as time went on, I'm very blessed, and I'm in demand with this career. So I had opportunities elsewhere. And so I started. And I'll add this, the management positions are kind of like a revolving door there. I gather that running a hotel is not easy, and it takes a lot of time and energy. And so every time we would get a new GM, I would kind of restructure what I was doing, because they didn't know the difference. And I'm the only one who's ever done what I'm doing there. So anytime they have a problem with the sound system, they call me. I make sure everyone has like instructions for how to run, because it's a hotel wide sound system. It's kind of tricky. I make sure that the piano is always tuned quarterly. I run the live music department, and it's turned into this cool thing. You're
really together. And it's really evident in almost everything you do. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. It's been fun learning about you. I want to remind folks, Cybele Sings, right?
Yeah.
Cybele Sings, CYBELESINGS, and CybeleSings.com. Jeff Ruby's at 5 on Wednesdays. Oriental Walk on Buttermilk Pike Thursdays at 6:30. Marble in Bellevue on Friday at 5:30, and then occasionally at the Lytle Park, where she runs the house. So thank you so much. It's been great talking with you.
This was a great interview. I was like so nervous. This is not something.
So just a fun conversation with Cybele. We went on to talk for another 20 minutes, and I actually ran into her at my gym. I'm like there 3 times a week, and I never see her. Really an inspiring human being. Be sure to check out her website, cybelsings.com, to see her residency schedule and find her music. Interesting sidebar, she also requested the recurring gig feature that has since been released because she said, Cliff, I don't want to enter all those residency gigs separately. That is a great example of how I want this thing to work. Download it, use it, request functionality, complain about it. I want you in this boat with me. Visit themoneygigs.com and download the app from the Google or Apple stores for $5. You get a great app and you get me as your personal IT employee building something just for you forever.